Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Part 2 of the best of 2021.
21 of 21, thank you.
And we are currently
TM.
at number
11.
11.
In at 11.
In at 11, like a rocket.
Remind me. Oh, yes.
The Black
Plaques.
Project from Havas, London, which I think technically was last year, as in the bit at the very end of 2020, but it was in that sort of betwixtmassy bit which we missed.
But it did. The outdoor ran into January.
Yes. So we really wanted to bring it in because it's I remember seeing it first time I saw it and I thought, oh, that's so cool. The plaques in themselves was a great idea, and the fact, that I think it's something ridiculous, like 1% of the blue plaques are given over to black people. Or
is that right?
Yeah. So
that's ridiculous.
That's appalling. But then there's also a poster campaign, a proper, old school 48 sheet poster campaign around it, and it just got. And then there was press ads, there was digital activation. There was so much around it, and we'd never talked about it. And we really want to get Vicky.
Yeah, it was Vicky Maguire, wasn't it?
Yeah, we want to get Vic.
We definitely want to get her in.
That.
Yeah,
but
Vicky, if you're listening,
yeah. I'm sorry,
you're getting an email from begging email from Hugh.
I did, but I have written one and I spelt her name wrong.
Oh no!
And I had to write again and correct it.
That's really embarrassing, isn't it, for a copywriter?
Yeah,
it's almost like having like a.
It's appalling. But then people have written to me and called me huge before.
Huge.
Well,
you are huge.
Yeah. But so I always forgive.
We're not going to talk about wanking again, are we?
Oh no, I hope not. Suddenly feel all relaxed. So. Yeah, the Black Plaque Project. So it sort of made the news. I mean, it had huge amounts of PR. I was going to read out some of the...
It's we talked about 360 campaigns recently. This is a 360 campaign. It went... Yeah. It was multi-channel, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, it was really big. I mean, there's some great lines on the posters. One of my favourites was Justin Fashnu. And the headline is "The Bravest Centre Forward in History." Because I think he was the first openly... gay footballer, which is
he'd retired when he came out.
Yeah, I think at the time he didn't say, but I think even now they're
such a sad story. The fashion story.
He commit suicide, didn't he? And then there's other stuff. Vera Lynn wasn't the only one keeping Britain's spirits up during World War I. So that's about Adelaide Hall.
And the Secret Agent to Astronaut one's one of my favourites.
Yeah, where's that one, mate? Hold on, let's just flick through. Is that it?
Yeah, Secret Agent to Astronaut.
Yeah, Earl Cameron.
Yeah.
So kind of, I suppose it's a massive awareness program anyway on the posters themselves, but then on the plaques, that's a very real thing that can happen. So when you're walking around a city,
something tangible. Yeah, it's again
because the posters would come down.
Yeah,
they'll have bought that space and then
but the plaques live forever, right?
Yeah, and I think there's a lovely little film with this campaign where they talk about they show you. They're putting the plaques up, and they're saying if we can, up the percentage of these, it'd be brilliant. So it couldn't come with more love and positivity from us around this.
Am I right in thinking that each poster had a QR on?
Possibly.
I think each one had a link. You could go and find out.
Did, and then you could read the story.
Yeah,
I think certainly on the press.
Yeah.
And then there was an app linked into it all. It's actually the client is called the Nubian Jack Community Trust. Agency Havas London, creative partner Andy Lockley, chief creative officer Vicky Maguire, art director Sam Adio, and copywriter Ken Abelos. So guys, amazing stuff.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, we really
a great campaign.
Hope to talk about that more in depth next year. So, number 10. I'm going to pass over to you on this one.
Number 10. Yes. It's known as the Cleaner Air campaign, but it was a campaign for address pollution.
Right.
Which is the original campaign. This is the second burst of the campaign, actually. The first campaign was run by AMV, and the client are trying to raise awareness of how poor the air quality is in certain places, and you know the belief is that if you're buying a house somewhere on Zoopla or Rightmove, you can find out a lot of information about the crime levels and the average house prices and the local schools, but the air pollution wasn't really associated to that location, and you couldn't find out that much about it through these channels. And they were trying to raise awareness of that, and that you should understand where you're buying your home, that if it's going to adversely affect your health.
Yeah.
I know quite a bit about the campaign because we worked on a part of the activation of it for the digital outdoor bit with the guys at MV.
What actually, can you, for the listeners who don't know, can you describe the digital out of home, how it works?
Yeah, and well, in order to do that, you should probably understand how the campaign idea came to life from the creative team, because they the line they have, and it was run pretty much everywhere, is you're paying through the nose to wreck your lungs.
Right.
Was designed using, so the line that was the art direction of the line was designed using a kind of a custom font.
Right.
That was, the spikier it was, the spikier the color and the color of it, the higher the level of pollution was in the area that you were seeing it. So
it was reactive, locally reactive.
The digital bit was reactive, and it was specific to that location. So if you were seeing a red piece of creative, you'd see a slightly spikier copy. You were in a higher pollution area than if you saw purple or green.
I remember seeing those. They're absolutely brilliant, but I didn't realise quite how wide.
It's a completely granular campaign. One of the reasons that this won a Grand Prix at Cannes in the healthcare. Is that it was super targeted outdoor as well, so it was hyper local to that exact location.
Yeah,
and that's the whole point of the tool that Address Pollution have built. Is the I can't remember what they call the client now. It's the Office of Communication, like is a play on that.
So they're actually saying that.
But the tool says, you put in your postcode and it tells you everything that you need to know about the air quality.
Right. So it's not just, well, I suppose it is about, if you're buying a home, you should know.
You should know, and also where you're commuting to, is the whole point of where you are.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. I'm looking at now the typography, the sharp, spiky stuff, which became more and more aggressive and nasty looking, the worse the quality of the air.
Yeah, and I thought it was a great campaign, and we were asked to work on it. And we liked the story, and we liked the message, and we liked what we were seeing in front of us in terms of art direction. So yeah, we donated quite a bit of time and resource to delivering this stuff.
Yeah, and that was Abbott Mead, wasn't it?
It was Abbott Mead, yeah.
And the credits are just going to have a quick look here. This is obviously Alex Grieve. Top Banana, ECD's Nick Hully and Naja Loscott, and then the creative directors Toby Allen and Jim Hilson, art director Scott Kelly, copywriter Ben Polkinghorn, and an assortment of others, but those are the key names there. So that's number 10. We're going to go number 9 now. And this is a bit of a funny one. A friend of mine, Lawrence Quinn, very good creative. I asked quite a few people what they thought was good this year. So this is quite strange. This is the North Face meets Gucci partnership, and it's brilliant. It's a house in Milan.
In Milan, yeah.
Yeah, and it's covered in a sort of it's a North Face jacket basically with this beautifully bright orange, very cool and trendy as you'd expect from Gucci. And it's been done by a guy I think it's called Alexandro Michel. And so it's a quilted jacket, which keeps Milan's Lago La Foppa toasty warm. So that's the building, and it's just
it's advertising the collab between North Face and Gucci, right?
Yeah.
But
I did a bit of research, and this is an active part. This is a very specific thing they like to do, artistic out-of-home advertising. So they call them Gucci Art Walls, first launched in 2018. And it comprises murals in fixed locations across major cities. I'm just reading this off, actually, this thing, that they update with its latest campaign. So it's a street art influence. They feature designs from the collection. So its current mural in Milan is a realistic rendering of a quilted jacket, garnered nearly 1 million likes on their Instagram page. But it just looks fucking cool. I mean, it's the sort of thing you're going to take a photograph of and post immediately because it stands out.
You know, that's we've talked about this before as well. Is that the social power of a great creative out of home execution? This, I think you've got some stats on it. Garnered 800,000 likes on Gucci's Instagram.
Yeah, I just said that. I said nearly 1 million. I rounded up.
But their average is 70,000. So you do something like this.
Yeah. It's just, I just love the audacity of it. Someone saying, right, we're going to put a coat on that building. It's a sort of, it's very artistic, dare I say. I mean, I think they have done other murals, which are cool, you know, like paintings, but there's something about this which takes it beyond because it's
the product, right? That's what makes it in the top 21, the 21 of 21.
And I think it looks
like a North Face jacket on a building. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, so we like that. They have done other stuff.
And the zip as well, obviously.
Yeah,
the doors and windows.
Didn't spot that. Very good.
Oh man,
sorry man, being a bit thick. Okay, we're still in mural territory, so why don't we go into our next one, which is
you can do the accent.
No, I used to work on this account actually. I can't do that. Tourism Ireland.
I've heard you do the accent before. You should do the accent.
Really kilty. Welcome to Ireland. Escape to Ireland is the line, and there are these amazing murals painted on buildings. I'm not sure where they were. London, do you think? Shoreditch? I don't know. It's Publicist Poke, our friend Dave Monk again, and Steve Paskin runs this account. Monkey. Yeah, with Barrett Hellender and Reese Hughes. And these are our friends who redesigned, they did the D&AD bootleg annual.
Oh, yes.
Great lads, great idea. They did that when D&AD didn't make an annual, and then they lied again.
Are we going to talk about that more?
In a minute. Let's focus on this work. But these are great. These are they really are visually arresting, particularly the second one we're looking at where you can see sort of as if you're seeing through the building.
Into Ireland.
Yeah. And I think the line is press the green button, which I really like because you kind of go, yeah, Ireland, green, press it. And I imagine this is sort of like a bit magical. I just like it. It just it's fresh and it's different, but it's quite arresting. I'm trying to think, was it our friend again? I don't know who did them actually. It doesn't say on the credits.
The mural.
No, but retoucher Mark, designer Ryan Connolly. But they're cool, and they're cool for a travel thing, right? You know,
don't look like your typical
no
tourist board ads, do they?
No, they're great. So that's, I think that very much liking these. So it feels like there's a whole load of last year.
Loads of murals.
I know.
This is the year of the mural, right?
There was nothing last year at all. I mean, last year was, a few people wrote, Mark Rolfe said, God, I struggled. So did Dave Dye, Tim Riley. Quite a lot of people just said, I'm really struggling. But I think we've had a good year. But I think last year we had some very good work. And then there was this massive gap. So you had B&Q.
You mean in 20?
Yeah. So we had B&Q.
Did we even have 20 of 20?
I think we had something like 12, but I tell you what, they were absolute belters.
Bangers, yeah.
Yeah, actually, I got them just here, if you can just bear with. It was B&Q. It was...
SHN?
Yes, SHN, St. Luke's Rich. We had KFC. We had the bus, another Whopper on the bus.
Whopper on the bus, yeah.
We had IKEA. We had Dracula. We had PlayStation, the symbols.
That was a mural, wasn't it? PlayStation?
Yeah, actually, there's the beginning of the mural. And then there's a few other things. And it was the edge. It was the edge of the end of pandemic-y, lockdown-y stuff.
Yeah.
There was the the thank you thing from Mother where they did the listing stuff. So yeah, there was a lot of that stuff around. But I think this year, I don't know, it feels like the industry has flexed its muscles and like we say, done murals and projections and all sorts.
Can we just talk about D&AD for a bit?
Yeah, those the two.
I think it's important.
Barrett and Reese, who did that brilliant idea when they did the bootleg album. But then, and I read that article and I thought, oh well.
You and I are in agreement about the annual and how important it is to the creative community, for inspiration, for historical fact, for all sorts of reasons.
Yeah, exactly. And then they said they were going to. It was just a one-off because of what's been
going on. And then the pandemic, we didn't have the money. And
then the other day I realised that they wrote to me and go, hey, here's your new D&AD annual. And there wasn't anyone. It was just a link. It was a web thing again. And I was like, all right. So I wrote to them and I asked them. And it was all a bit shifty, saying, oh, well, we can reach a broader audience, this, that and the other. And I'm all for that. But like we were just saying off mic a minute ago, that that doesn't stop you from making a book. Why can't you make the book and do the other stuff?
Yeah.
I just don't understand. So if anyone can from D&AD or know anyone, please let us know. But it's just such a crying shame we don't have the book anymore.
Look, we all know that times change and that traditions change and the way that people consume media changes. But I'm not sure they really appreciate how those annuals are used in the real world by the people who are creating this wonderful stuff. We talked to Nils about it at the time, last year. I would say most of the people that have featured in the 21 of 21 will have had their hands on one of these annuals at some point in their career and have used them to inspire the great work of either this year, last year, the year before. So it's a
yeah.
I'm not leafing through the pages of a fucking PDF.
No, that's the thing, isn't it? You kind of go, well, I don't know, that arbitrary thing. You could just pick up a book, any book, not just D&AD, and you just, like a photography book, a illustration book, a
coffee table book.
And you just go, oh, what's up here? What's that about? What's the last thing? What's the first thing?
You go around any agency, and sit there, have a coffee, and you pick up a book on the table, and you just, you're leafing through it. It just happens, doesn't it?
And I think it's a shame because D&AD is the most respected body in the world, really.
You think they're going to lose a bit of respect moving forward?
I don't know, because I think they sort of secretly know they are the one. I don't know, because Cannes have never done a book, so there was never that reverence. That was kind of like, can't like that about Cannes. There was no book, and you just had the winners, I don't know. I am irritated by it, but
and you're right. What does your membership become if you love the book and you're the biggest usable asset of your annual subscription is the book?
Yeah, and so I've stopped now. Are you still a member?
It's up for renewal soon, and I have to say I don't know what you get for your money. That's the problem. You get invited to all the talks, and the awards, and spend more money with us. It starts to feel a bit more businessy, doesn't it?
No, I agree.
Rather than service driven is what we're.
Yeah, it feels less creative somehow, but I think they have to do their thing. So we'll see. But I wonder if the lads are going to do another bootleg album this year.
I'd love it.
Are you listening, gents? Are you going to do it? Probably not. But what I loved about the bootleg album is you could, I think they just did them from alphabetically. I was saying earlier, like they did A to B. They just picked the client. I think it was client name, A to Z.
Yeah.
So you could have a radio ad and then a poster and then a social thing and then a bit of design. There was no order. It was just, but again, which is great. That's what you like about randomness. You get inspired just by any page, but you can't really do that with online. But I'll shut up. Been wanging on.
No, I think it's
number 7.
Number 7.
So number 7 is a pretty recent campaign.
New entry.
Yeah, new entry really. Reuters, the source, and this is from VLMYNR. And it's, oh my God, I just can't imagine it being any simpler. It's an image their images of basically things that are happening around the world.
It's photojournalism.
And just around a part of the image, there's speech marks around a key part of the image, and that's it. There's nothing else. And there's a line at the end: take no side, tell all sides. So it's that kind of, just couldn't be more graphic, more simple. I mean, it's a classic poster. There's no words really. I mean, there's a lockup at the end. But these are great. These are really, really smart posters. Our friend Mark Rolfe was behind these.
Yeah, why not?
Along with the team. And I think they're great. I mean, I just need to try and find a little credits list here whilst you make small talk amongst yourselves. Reuters, here we are. Yes, a creative director, Tamron Kerr, global head of planning, Ben Kay, project director, Mandy Wilson. There isn't actually a creative team on this.
Any photographer credits on it?
No, which was a bit strange actually. I might try and find out, but I'm wondering whether they're whether they've been used from they must come from the
archive,
from their source, right?
Yeah.
So that's Reuters, fantastic. And then keeping in the same vein of media and news, I suppose. At number 6,
the Guardian.
So this isn't actually uncommon. This is Uncommon do a lot of brilliant work for the Guardian, but this is credited Guardian in-house and the Oliver Agency, and they are fantastic posters. They're celebrating the 200-year anniversary of the Guardian, and they just use posters in that classic not old-fashioned, that's bollocks, classic creative way where. So like the first one we're looking at, a work in progress, and it just says a work in prog.
A half-finished billboard.
And there you can see the wood of the billboard.
1821 to 20-something.
Yes.
It's really good.
And there's another one that says to be continued, and that has been split between 3 different posters: to be continued, and then the Guardian 200. And that's broken across many different medias. So there's some where they're stacked on top of each other. It's just so brilliantly, it's disruptive because you don't see posters that mess up. So you are immediately taken to it, and then you look at it and you go, oh, The Guardian is known to be, rattling cages.
Yep.
So it's very true to the brand, and they've been doing it for 200 years. So I think, these are wonderful. And then they've just got some cracking headlines, just one that says, for fact's sake.
Feels very Economist, that one, doesn't it?
Does a bit, actually, yeah. Reader funded, not billionaire backed, and there's a back of someone suspiciously looks like Mr. Murdoch. But these are really, really lovely. And it's nice to see great work, not from, the agency land. It's agencies that we're familiar with that win at the shows. But I wrote to the Oliver Agency today to try and get some credits. They haven't written back yet, but hopefully we'll have it by the time we stick this out on Instagram. But brilliantly branded as well on yellow.
That's what I was about to say. Kind of art directionally for outdoor, like it's bold.
Yeah.
Very few words. It stands out. It's the kind of classic poster rules.
It's
and
really
there's some
well
wit to them. There's the work in prog is great. I think the to be continued is great, and the 3 different iterations of to be continued is that we've seen kind of split across multiple panels, using the environment and those placements really well.
Yeah, and it's sort of like the first part of the headline is always italicized and the second half is bold, and it feels very much at a distance, that kind of Paul Arden thing at 100 foot. I know that's a Guardian poster. I don't know why. It has the feel.
Yeah.
I don't actually always think that yellow and black was the Guardian. I always think yellow and black is Selfridges, but they don't own colours and stuff. But I think these are very well done.
Yeah, very good.
So that was number
6.
So now we're down to the top 5.
The top 5. Wow.
So with the next one, we should really be having a cup of tea, shouldn't we, Dan? Because what's the next one?
Cold. I want something cold and fizzy.
Where is John with those beers?
Where's John with those beers?
Well, it might have to be a cup of tea for now, because what have we got here, Dan? What have we got at number 5?
We have Channel 4.
No, Channel 4. Oh yeah, sorry, I thought it was Channel 5 for a minute. Sorry.
No, it's Channel 4.
5 is much at home.
Channel 4 and the Great British Bake Off, which is a building wrap. I'm just trying to get the picture of it from my...
I know this building.
It's quite interesting today because I've got the paper printouts
I know.
and you've got
It's
the laptop.
bloody surreal. It's like
Really
someone's
weird.
role reversal. It's the building in Glasgow in Argyle Street. It's enormous. We did we put a vigil one up there.
Here it is.
And they've just made it this enormous cake. It just looks fucking amazing. I mean, I'd eat that right now.
The dripping icing from the top is the icing on the cake.
It is literally cake. Yeah, because the next image, you
see it from across the skyline. You can just see the icing on the cake.
And you think,
it's really
what's
good.
That? So I did a bit of I read up a bit, and apparently they actually made this cake. Not that big, but they made this cake specifically for this shoot. Because they said otherwise it would look, if you tried to do it and retouching stuff, it'd never work.
I wonder if they had what's the guy's name? Paul
Hollywood.
Did
he have a hand in it?
Him, yeah. Did he have a hand in the cake?
Yeah. I've stopped watching, actually. I do really like it. I don't know why. The girls have got a bit less interested lately. So.
And my kids love it.
Do they? Yeah. It's a classic, isn't it? It really is there. So alongside that, there's also this enormous fork with a bit of cream and a cherry on top.
Yeah.
It's brilliant, this. I mean, I asked, I think it's Shannon and Beth at B what their favourite bits of outdoor were, and they mentioned this, and then virtually every other person I spoke to had mentioned it as well. There was lots of other stuff there around this. There were just classic 6 sheets and 48s where they used the environment behind the poster and put cake in it. So like if it was on a motorway, a 48 sheet, they would do they did a lorry which on the back had a huge piece of cake on the back. And then there were these little sort of stings, like 5-second idents.
Yeah.
They showed the cliffs of Dover were like a Victorian sponge. So the white bit they made into the sponge, and they just put this bit of jam on. And it just drips down. It's brilliant. It's brilliantly done. It's just so art of simplicity, really.
And at 4 Creative, we have
4 Creative. It was a
Sally Horsey and Zoe Nash.
Yeah. So again, I tried to get more, but that was all I could find. So thanks guys. That really brilliant September.
But again, we're going back to kind of the trends of what we're seeing this year. That's a nice big building wrap making its way into the 21 of 21 is nice to see. I don't think there's no. Oh yeah, we had the North Face half building wrap, but
it feels like people have gone for it this year.
And do you know what? I talked about this. I get asked this at the beginning of every year, kind of the trends for digital and for out of home and creativity and out of home. And I said that as we start to come back from kind of the during pandemic and the media formats being readily available because everyone was kind of stuck indoors or in various lockdowns around the world. As advertisers flock back to out of home, as lockdowns are raised and the people are out and about again and back into offices and working from offices in cities, the formats will become highly popular, and they have. If we look at the media landscape and the value that's been there on media, the amount of money people are spending on out of home media. We're way over pre-pandemic levels in quarter 2, 3, 4. Well, quarter 1 was awful, obviously. Everyone was still locked up. But as you look at 3 and 4, we're back up to those levels, and occupancy levels are sky high.
Right.
What that means is it forces people to be a bit more creative about the landscape and explore opportunities outside of traditional 48s, 96s and 6s. So you look at these other formats of like building wraps or experiences, and you look at the special builds, you look at the one-offs that you could start to think about an audience wider than the out-of-home audience itself. And that's where some of the best work comes from, is the constraint of where you don't have access to that format, you have access to this format, or there's another idea here that will get you the same sort of audience.
So do you think people are doing that thing where you go, I'm going to do one hit, but I'm going to get the amplification?
Yeah, but it's like you say, out of constraint comes the creativity, use it to your advantage.
It's funny because Channel 4, I think they had quite a lot of money for Bake Off. So like I was saying, they did buy conventional posters, which are pretty good actually on a normal.
I mean, it's you have to remember, it's one of their flagship shows.
Yeah,
so in terms of the sponsorship that they get in, I've got a very good friend of mine, Luke Moore, if you're listening, hello. He works in the sponsorship team for all their major programs, and Bake Off is their big ticket item. Yeah. And so it means that they have the marketing pounds to put into their campaigns. Yeah. So when they can think outside of the box, they can go and get a building wrap. Yeah. They can do those things because it's a it's the big ticket item that they were.
I wonder what came first actually. Maybe we should try and get them on the show next year, because you kind of go, did you write a load of conventional ads? And then someone said, wouldn't it be nice to do a great big fucking, let's make a cake in the middle of Glasgow? Or did you start there? I don't know. I imagine it was probably the former. But they've done an amazing job. And we are going to stick with food, because at number 4, we have another food, which was in our top 10 last year.
Oh, they're a returning entry as well, aren't they?
Yeah. So it's interesting, actually. Great brands, great agencies are coming up again and again. So at number 4, do you
think it's the brands, or do you think it's the love of outdoor? When they've done amazing work the previous year, they kind of... That really worked. Let's go back to outdoor.
I don't know. I think in this case, KFC they're working with a fantastic agency.
Yeah.
Anna's left by now. Ballerin, her and her husband. But
has gone to Wyden's.
Yeah, but this must have. I think this was still pandemic-y time. So we're listening. We're looking at shots, huge shots of chicken adorning sides of buildings, but with very clever small lines. So Kentucky Fried is obviously finger licking good, and the case study of this was possibly the worst end line in the world. So they changed it to finger licking not currently advised, which is very good.
One of the things I like about it is it's not overtly KFC. You can just about see the top of the Colonel's head, but it's very clearly branded the red and white of KFC, and it's very clearly it feels really bunch of fried chicken in a bucket. It feels they're very happy playing the game of not having to see the entire logo in order to know that it's KFC.
Yeah, it just feels like a shot of some food.
And they rely on the fact that everybody knows it's finger licking good in order to deliver that.
It's really interesting, actually. Yeah, I didn't even think of that, Dan. If you look at it, there's no logo. You don't really see the Colonel's face. The next one says, wash fingers thoroughly before licking.
And it's licking.
Licking.
Because it's finger licking good. Yeah.
Next one, licking fingers at your own risk.
I love the little warning sign.
And it says thumbs included. But again, you're right. I wonder if it's nearly got to that stage now with like Nike with the tick.
And McDonald's. Do you remember with the directions, there's a Cannes Gold winner.
The Canadian
Grand Prix
stuff.
Winner. Yeah. Off at the next exit. And, very...
We need to get Guy Moore on. He did that. Yeah. Where he was involved in it. Yeah.
It was cassette, wasn't it?
That's right, in Canada.
Yeah.
The last one, caution may cause finger licking. So it's just brilliant, isn't it? It's so confident. It's so aware of itself. It's aware of the world it's in.
Yep.
And it's massive, massive pack shots. And yet it's still fucking cool.
Yeah. The world's least appropriate slogan.
A bit of blurb we robbed off of somewhere. When COVID-19 hit, finger licking good immediately went from being the world's most famous slogans to being the least appropriate. So what do you do when your most iconic asset, when you spent 64 years and billions of dollars making famous, suddenly becomes a health risk? Well, you censor it and you launch a public information campaign to tell people. Is that the sound of beer?
It's the sound of our festive ales.
Okay, I'm going to make small talk with the listeners while you go. Is that John trying to get in? Photographer Martin Poole. ECD, Anna Ballerin, a friend of the show. Creative director Richard Tamasabi. James Ross Edwards. Creative Nick Calbury. Production designer Emma Hodson. And lots of other very smart people. Charlotte Cherry, art worker. Charlotte Terry, sorry. So
Silent John is not so silent anymore.
Silent John's arrived, and we're up to top 3 now.
The top 3.
And I think...
Pigs in blanket crisps. Wow.
Is that a thing?
Is now.
Listeners, this is our Christmas party as well as our look back at 2020.
Our lo-fi
Thanks, John.
Christmas party with a can of Guinness or a can of...
God. Sorry.
Niels will be very happy. We've got Brewdog as the other option, which is good. Thank you, Brewdog.
Normally I pour that straight into a glass, but it's had to go straight down my gullet. Sorry, everyone. Dan's on a Brewdog, and John had a shed for last night, so I don't think you really should be drinking.
Topping up, I'll be fine.
Topping up.
Season.
Dan's.
Wow. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Thank you for being...
Oh, Jesus.
John, thanks for doing so much for us.
Yeah.
Dan,
Cheers.
thanks for being...
Cheers.
Dan. Cheers. And
Cheers.
thanks, everyone, for listening still. Stay with us. We've got some amazing guests next year. But we're going to keep going down the top 3.
Hold on. Can you pull my cracker?
Said the nun to the vicar. Right, 1, 2, 3. Oh, God.
I won.
That was cheap as chips.
Let's see.
John?
Let's see what I've got in store.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1. That is it meant to be that crap? The sound. Hold on. Okay. Is there anything in it? These cost £4.
You?
Sainsbury's. Yeah.
Which famous playwright was terrified of Christmas?
I don't know, Dan. Which famous seems
Noel Coward.
bad. Okay. These are cheap. It's like a hat. Oh my God.
Oh, I got some stickers in
I
mine.
got a joke. Okay, John. What do Santa's little helpers learn at school? The alphabet.
The alphabet. Oh,
Close. Shit, these are so crap.
Why wouldn't the shrimp share his treasure?
I don't know Hitler. I haven't. John's wearing Hitler moustache.
Because he was a little shellfish.
he was a little shellfish.
And I've got a bookmark. Oh my God. So no wonder they cost so £4 for 12. I suppose you get the joy of pulling it. Anyway, well, you're welcome, guys.
Cheers. Merry
Cheers.
Christmas.
Cheers. Merry Christmas,
For the top
everybody.
3 to go.
Top 3. Number 3, BBC, A Perfect Planet.
No, I love this campaign.
Tell us about it, Dan.
Well, the reason I love this campaign is because it changed over the course of the campaign.
Right.
Just rustle those crisps a bit more. It won't wind me up at all. This was so BBC. You weren't involved in this, were you?
No.
Was it before
My time.
before your time at BBC. BBC Creative, Havas, and the Talon Outdoor Creative Solutions team delivering this. So I know quite a bit about it from my friends at Creative Solutions. The show is about our perfect planet and what's in store for it as climate change happens, and this is a fantastic example of the adaptability of out of home. And what actually happened is that over the course of that week is the what was a perfect planet piece of creative changed into something that posed the question of how long will it be that perfect unless we do something about it. So it looked like a part of the billboard was ripped off, and now that the forest where.
How did they do it? Do you know how they set
It was effectively
on fire?
a special build, and they had the system behind with the fire and the flames. But a little bit of insight. I don't know if you picked this up, but there were a few calls to fire brigade about a couple of these units being actually on fire.
Seriously?
Yeah, there was some scrambling around at the Talon offices when there were a few complaints about there's a billboard on fire, and they were worried about getting it asked to take down. But it got a lot of press because of that climate change measures. This year, obviously, it's been front and center of a lot of the news stories on climate change. So this is
they did
great piece of creativity.
They did more conventional ones where they had a normal poster and then it had sort of ripped. Part of it was ripped away, which was pretty good.
Yeah, this one with the embellishments, with the smoke and the fire, is definitely my favourite.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really
a perfect planet, but for how long?
Yeah, I think that. I mean, I'm hoping that'll win a lot of awards.
Yeah, I'm sure it will.
So that was Helen Rhodes, ECD, creative team Rachel Miles and Michael Sim, creative directors Tim Jones, James Cross, head of planning Mike Lean, head of production James Wood, and 2 special mentions for people I've been working with: project manager Astrid Reiner, I like very much, and planner Leo can't remember me saying Simon Smith, but he's a really good lad.
One sip of Guinness.
One sip of Guinness.
Say Simon Smith.
Simon Smith. Simon Smith was one of my friends from when I was at primary school.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Sorry.
But yeah, so just on the shout out to the talent team on that one as well. So the talent creative solutions team. So Jay Young, Emma Lang, Ben Gardner. I know they lived and breathed that campaign for a long time, and they were in the firing line on some of those calls from the fire brigade saying there's a billboard on fire in London. So yeah, it's a big deal. Hugh's taking photos of us.
Sorry,
of our shit Christmas party.
Number 2. This was sort of controversial because I thought this might have been number 1, but then we had a bit of a conflab, and I think number 1 is the right number 1. So, excuse me. Number 2 is Marmite. Dynamite Marmite. This was something that came around last February, and it was brilliant. I mean, I think if everyone who saw it from the minute they saw it thought this is amazing. So it's a poster which just has Dynamite chili product, and the top of the Marmite is blown off out of the poster and smashed onto the windscreen of a car parked right in front of it. Love it or hate it, but be careful with it. Is the line, be careful with it. So it's pretty amazing, actually, to pull it off. We got hold of the creative team, Alex Lucas and John Farley. I gave them a quick call and said, how did he do it? And then they sent in a little sketch, which is basically a landscape 48 shot of a Marmite jar, and the lid has flown off. Blown off. And it's as simple as that. And they actually said they'd been working on it for weeks and couldn't crack it. And then they went on a shoot and took a pad and a pen, and it came to them. And because they just kept going and going at it. So good on them. They used James Day for the still life. Love James Day, and Sue Parkhill for the location. And the lid was made as a scale model of the original. And they bought, I'm going to quote here, we bought a shit car to smash it into. That's commitment.
And I'm pretty sure the special build side was done by the Kinetic special build team. I forget what they're called. On the credits. But it's
I definitely seen the there we are, Kinetic special build.
But it's Sam O'Connell, who's a friend of the show as well, and I know that she worked on that. And that's, I think that was a labour of love. It was a series of 3 actually. Did a couple of other ones where the lid was stuck on the corner of the building, or one was stuck in the tree.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, the fact that I suppose you look at it and go, it's just a normal poster, and then you'll spot, if you stay with it for one more second, you'll see where the lid has blown off.
And the nice thing about these, I don't think everyone always appreciates we talked to Anna about this, about putting a big inflatable booby on the top of a building, is you don't think about the conversations that people have to have with the landlords and councils. But, what starts as a sketch in someone's pad on a shoot for another product, it ends up as someone's 6 weeks of work trying to get permission to get up in the tree and put up a giant lid.
Yeah, or did you think that the fire service might be called set of space on
it's
fire?
Those conversations that people have to have, the logistics side of the special build.
But I think that's why it's Adam and Eve, it's BBC, it's big creative companies and organisations that believe in the power of creativity, and they make things happen. And good on them, because I, like you say, imagine there must have been a lot of people having a lot of conversations about how you're going to do this, what the implications, will people complain?
But I think that's I'm not just saying this is because we're that my agency is part of a specialist group. The reason that specialists play a role in the outdoor space is because they really do understand the logistics of delivering to outdoor. and that is from a campaign planning perspective, buying perspective, but also logistics of delivery. So when you're talking about special builds, like the BBC Perfect Planet stuff, or the Dynamite Marmite, that's landed in a specialist department inside an outdoor specialist, and that's why those departments they work on the weird and wonderful. They work on ideas that break the mold of a traditional billboard, and they are the specialist. And I think that's really important for our industry to encourage more of.
Yeah,
because this stuff lives beyond the medium that it's intended to be first played out on.
Yeah.
And this, you have to remember, this Marmite thing came out in February of 21. We were all still locked up. We all saw this on our social feeds.
Yeah, it went crazy, didn't it?
It went absolutely mental.
I remember
it hit the press. It hit the press's social. It hit their social. It hit the industry social. It did phenomenally well.
How out of interest? So, am I being naive here? Did they buy 3 sites, or did they buy loads, but they did 3 specials?
3 specials, or they will have bought other sites as well for the regular Dynamite Creative.
Yeah. Okay. And do you think that, I'd love to know, is this sort of stuff expensive? I mean, like the lads said, they bought the car. You've got to make the scale replica model of the top of the jar, but those are model making, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not hugely expensive. It's not. I wouldn't say it's cost prohibitive when you think about the cost per thousand of a regular outdoor campaign. There's a bit of extra legwork to go in, and I think the issue for some clients is that there is more risk attached to a project like that because there's an unknown audience. When it's very easy for a client to buy a traditional out of home campaign because audience measurement is there, that we know how many people pass the billboard every day. We know what the foot traffic is. We know what the road traffic is past a roadside billboard. So you can say, hey, this is your cost per eyeball. That's relatively easy to do. It's a darker art doing something when your outdoor becomes a social piece.
We were looking at a long list of credits, and actually it was probably twice as long as actually before I sort of cut it down. If I'm a creative in an agency and I come with this idea, who have you, sorry, if I've got this wrong, tell me, but who are the people on this list who made that shit happen? Was it Kinetic, or was it Jack Agency and JC Deco? Is it W Communications? Is it...
Well, everyone plays
so
a
many
role.
Names
There are so many names on that. And you tend to find that on the really good campaigns, there are lots of names because it crossed my desk once and my name's on it, that kind of...
Success has many fathers.
Yeah, exactly. But, in terms of the actual special build, well, Kinetic will have project managed that on behalf of Marmite. But they have partners who build, the model makers,
right,
who go and build that stuff. JC Deco own that billboard site, so they will have got some permissions to do some of the extra embellishments in those areas as well.
Right. Yeah.
So all of that stuff, the way the money flows is media agency to specialist to media owner, but the specialist also controls some of the production as well. So there's that's how it is.
It's interesting because James Day is, I think he credited here, so he would have shot the pack shot. Yeah, and I've just noticed that it's really sweet. Each shot, there's a different splattering.
Yeah, the explosion is different.
Yeah, so he's done a brilliant job there. I mean, the thing is that at every level is brilliant. So they've got a good end line. Love it, hate it, be careful with it. So they've already got that established campaign.
Yeah.
But I suppose you're damned either way. Like, you'd probably been sold, yeah, of course you can do something brilliant with it. It's Marmite, you've already got it made, but you've still got to do it.
Yeah.
You still got to, it's that thing, you're expected to deliver something really good. You're at Adam and Eve. And I think they've got a great product, great campaign. I don't know how many years it is since Richard and Andy came up with this originally, but it's still
giving, yeah.
Still giving, still fresh. But this, I thought this was going to be number one, but it's not.
So just going back to the kind of special build partners, we maybe must be nearly 10 years ago, we worked on a campaign for Lynx, Oh, you got glass for his Guinness now.
I'm gonna fit the. Yeah, sorry, I don't want to interrupt you. I'll drink this water.
We worked on a campaign for Lynx, and that was with Kinetic, and it was for they did a kind of, it was a nothing's hotter than an astronaut, basically. So
I remember that. Yeah.
We built a.
Although is it not
50
fireman?
Well, it's astronaut, fireman. They had a whole series, but we did a
Copywriter,
yeah.
Yeah.
Copywriters, obviously the hottest in the world.
outdoor production company specialist.
Outdoor geek, yeah. There's nothing hotter than an outdoor
Spurs
geek.
fans. Sorry.
The prize was a trip to space for this competition that Lynx were going to run all year, because nothing gets more women than an astronaut, apparently. We built a 50-foot spaceman and hung it from the roof of Westfield Shopping Centre.
Right.
And it had a screen behind the helmet, and you could upload your selfie and go onto the screen, take a picture of your astronaut for your social feed. John, do you remember what year it was?
2013 or 14.
13 or 14.
I've completely lost the train of thought how this.
Well, the reason is because those random conversations, special build companies. So we were working with Kinetic, but the model makers were a company called Russell Science, who do a lot of these special builds for all outdoor specialists. So I went up to their facility to have a look at the 50-foot spaceman, who we nicknamed Tony. I don't remember why. Oh, yeah, the owner of the Russell Science was a guy called Tony. And to get it to Westfield, they had to put it on the back of a big flatbed
Seriously.
lorry. And so and he's in a kind of flying mode. And so Tony flew down the motorway from wherever they are, Stevenage, Chelmsford or something like that. And
Brilliant.
And but you go into their facility and you see Marmite lids and massive Toy Story boxes, and because they build these sets for these purposes, or embellishments for billboards, and it's incredible. They would have done the cars on side of billboards, and all these things are still there in this massive warehouse, and it's like a prop. It's like going to a big prop center.
Yeah, and I think that's just, it really excites me, this sort of stuff, and it makes me. I sort of imagine, so that car would have cost about 10 grand.
Nah,
5.
that's a write-off. It's definitely a write-off.
Okay.
The engine would have blown up.
But you just kind of go.
He said they bought a shit car.
Yeah, but it's sort of. So you go, okay, say the car's 5 grand, and say the lids cost, I don't know, say it's 3 lids. I wonder how much they cost. Don't know.
3 grand each, maybe.
But the audacity to do what they did is just brilliant, and it just proves, actually, if you boil it down, all they did is they bought that site,
Made a
parked
poster
shit
for
car,
it. Yeah.
and I know it's all very simple to say all this now, but you look at it, you go, well, you know what? And it just caught fire. So I thought,
Get an idea and get it in front of people who can make it happen. And that, I think we talked about this recently. It's like, having a good production partner, or having a good specialist agency that you can rely on, or someone who can enjoy the craft of these things, they will make that shit happen.
yeah, I think that's it. Is surround yourself with people who have the same belief system as you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to have to do a drum roll.
Because this was number 2.
So number 1, and I think you're all going to know what it is. It's
McDonald's.
Golden Arches.
The Golden Arches.
The We Deliver campaign from Leah Burnett, which brilliantly, actually, just a bunch of 6 sheets.
It's classic outdoor. And, we've talked a lot about all the examples we've shown. There's digital, there's special build, there's murals, there's all the great stuff of out of home. But you know what? The best campaign from last year and from this year is something that is traditional.
Yeah, it is. And it's absolutely brilliant. I was looking at it last night. Obviously, it's a really, really clever. So there's no logo in reality. There's part of a logo.
I mean, it goes back to what we were talking about with KFC. It's so well known, their logo, that it can be carved up.
Yeah,
it's not a problem.
But it's that confidence to know how good you are, to not have to try too hard. So it says We Deliver. I'm sure everyone knows this, but it's the Golden Arch, which just lands inside various houses. I think what I love about it as well is they art directed various different properties. They're all mostly urban flats. Then there's houses, there's different apartments. There's like, in total, there was actually about 6 or 8 of these: green, purple, red. There's one line: we deliver. There's nothing else. Doesn't say McDonald's. Doesn't say a hashtag. No fucking website. None of that. Just we deliver. And it just is beautiful. It's a bit beautiful, aren't they? They're like,
yeah, it's really nice. They're bits of artwork.
They're bits of art.
But again, it's the power of it, simplicity,
Yeah.
and contextuality. People were stuck at home. McDonald's restaurants were not open to the public. How you still get a burger into someone's mouth, and that is we deliver. And I think previously, I think I'm right in saying this, previously they used external suppliers for their delivery services, and now they do their own.
Is that right?
I think so. We deliver is a very powerful line as well, isn't it?
It's a sort of staggering, yeah, because it's like we deliver, but it's also somewhere along the line, someone had to go, oh, should we put a logo on, or should we put an headline? Should we put a hashtag? Should we put a website? So, no, please don't. And I think that's why it's won. It's funny, isn't it? Because all, like you said, all the audacity and the grandiose stuff of murals and, you know, big stuff, and actually this sort of semi-humble 6-sheet campaign is a clear winner. And everyone we wrote to,
they called it out, right? It's not
called it out.
Yeah.
And I know it's one at D&AD and stuff, but, you know, we're not going to do something different just for the sake of it. And this is clearly...
no, but it's it's going to win awards because of... You know, I don't mean to blow smoke up your ass and...
Please do.
Blow my own trumpet at the same time. I'm going to go back to KY Jelly.
Let's give it a wank, for fuck's sake.
But we do know what we're talking about. This stuff will win awards because of all the reasons that outdoor is great. And that is a simple message, clearly defined, respecting the location that it's in, and it's contextual to the current conditions, and that's it's delivering all of those things. It's you know who it's for, watching it from 100 feet, like we've said.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I'd love to talk to the team. So the copywriter Andrew Long, art directors James Millers, Will Rees, an old boss of mine, Mark Elwood, hello Mark, and Chaka Sabani at Leo's. You know, all of these people, designer Sam Callan, they all probably work very, very hard to get something very, very simple. And it sort of looks effortless now.
It does, yeah.
But I imagine they probably went through a shitload of stages to get here. I remember Hegarty always used to just put his hand over on something and go, you don't need that. You don't need that. You know, he just like, his thing was reduce. And actually, weirdly, there's 3 elements, I suppose. You got a line, you got a visual, and I suppose you have got a logo.
A bit of a logo, yeah.
You know, and it goes back to your the Canadian agency using
Cassette,
yeah. But in a brilliant way, it just lands.
We have seen a few of these variations from McDonald's over the years. There was an amazing set in France.
Oh yeah, I think I know.
The fries and stuff. It was really cool. That used the logo or used the illustrative style. We also saw the Big Mac stuff last year with the sections. Remember,
bitten out of it.
Yeah,
and then there was I think it was a Deliver thing from France, wasn't it? Where it was the
windows
and the windows.
The windows are great. Yeah,
beautiful. It's sort of like virtually. Like an artist had done.
Yeah.
So I suppose this is taking on, or just another a re-skinning of that idea. But it is, I think it's a worthy winner. I think last year's who won last year?
B&Q,
yeah. Okay, it's brilliant though, isn't it? Like big, massive brands, you know, doing great work. Not little cheeky niche things that have hardly run, you know, or get them away 1 or 2 sites. Nothing wrong with that. But it's really heartening to see very big brands with big campaigns doing great work. So, yeah, more power to Leah Burnett and the McDonald's team, and more power to you, Emma, an old friend of mine who's going to be hopefully doing great things. Emma Brooke, I used to work with her at BBC. So, yeah, she's in there now working on Macca's. So, yeah, I would raise a glass to this year's winner and raise a glass to everybody who's been listening. Raise a glass to John.
To John,
who's been amazing.
I think he said his first words on this podcast today.
Raise a glass to Jordan, who's actually done nothing this year.
Jordan's done nothing this year. We've given him a year off. Is he on furlough?
Yeah. Jordan, if you're out there, mate, we'd still need you next year. We're going to do a mural special. And we're going to
come on the Christmas lunch though, can't he?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're on furlough, you're allowed to come on Christmas lunch.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Hugh.
A bit of a love in here. And yeah, looking forward to next year. Can we tease some of the guests we've got or not?
Yeah, sure.
We've got Malcolm Venville, right?
Yeah.
Joe Ascott. We've got Graham Fink. We've got Vicky Ross. We've got Justin Tyndall. We've got shitloads. That's only January, right?
That's only January, yeah.
So, no, it's great. And if anybody's listening and they want to, ask for someone to be featured, please chip in and say who you'd like to come on, and we'll run it past our committee.
That's me and you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking.
Anyway, happy Christmas, everybody. Thank you for a great year, and thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.